The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, the Challenge War of the Worlds, episode 5. Recap and fantasy scoring and all the fun stuff about the season so far, maybe projecting a bit forward. Paul Shag will be coming up to break down this episode specifically later on if you want to hit the time codes and jump right to that. But I recommend you do not do that because you might miss out on some giveaways. And our first guest today, the host of the Challenge Chronicles podcast, where they are now 2/3 of the way through Battle of the Sexes 2. It's Rob McIntyre. I'm not going to lie to you. You guys make that season sound a whole lot better than it was.
The first part of it actually is not bad. I'm not going to lie. Any part that has Derek in it is pretty decent. And then after that, it's kind of garbage.
Yeah, well, Derek gets eliminated, episode 4? And then the rest of the season sucks.
It's like episode 6. But dude, Derek is so good that season. He just has this thing of vodka that's slung over his shoulder for like 85% of the time he's on. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, listen, there's a reason that Derek has persisted in the challenge world for 15 years, because you'd be hard pressed to find, maybe people don't like his podcast now or they don't like him on the podcast. I do. I mean, Derek's been on the show. Derek's a real good guy. But even before I had actually met him, he was like one of my favorite challengers ever.
Well, that's honestly why I think his podcast has been so successful, is since all the challengers kind of like Derek, they're actually willing to go on his podcast. And if he was somebody more polarizing, then half the cast hated him, it would not be that successful.
All right, I do want to let everyone know there are 2 ways to win 20 DK dollars this week. Winners announced on Monday's Pat Mayo Experience. The first way to do it, smash the like button for the episode. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section and tell me which team you think will win the inevitable trivia challenge once it comes out. That's a way to get into the draw for 20 DK bucks. The other one is, if you're an audio listener, go to iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Leave a 5-star review, your DraftKings handle, and something nice about the show. That'd be great. Thank you. So, Rob, big takeaways from, let's say, the season so far. You had told me about the fantasy scoring and the ownership numbers, that there's one player who's actually lesser owned than people who didn't even qualify.
Yeah, poor Shailene, who has gotten one confessional so far this season, has yet to do pretty much anything, is at 1% ownership, and then Alon and Liz are at about 2% ownership, at least in the league we're all in. So I think that speaks to her relevance so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Canadian, she's Canadian. You think that she'd at least have some fun humor to go along with it, some sardonic remarks, but her and Leroy, I guess based on the next episode preview, it does seem like Leroy is going to start getting some storyline, but he's been noticeably absent so far.
Yeah, it's been strange for him so far. There's been a lot of people who just have not appeared at all on screen. Like Natalie Negrodi before she left didn't do anything. JP before he left didn't do anything. Everybody's favorite character, Gus, just doesn't do anything. Has his Hallmark movie line confessionals, and that's it.
Right, so this is what I wanted to get to, because I feel like you're really falling into an internet bubble when it comes down to it. So Gus, who my wife calls Trash Michael Murray, because he's basically the trailer park equivalent to Chad Michael Murray, apparently the internet loves him, although I talked to Paul about it. Paul hasn't seen it. I haven't seen it. I've never actually even heard anyone talk about this guy, but according to you, he's the most popular guy on the show.
I can't stand it anymore. He has gotten 16 seconds of screen time so far this season. He's basically become the Jason Tatum of the challenge, where every single mid-range fan is just pumping him up as the next big thing. And the guy has yet to do pretty much anything on screen so far.
How many people are telling you this? 2?
Multiple people
siblings?
Every single Wednesday.
Hold on. Multiple people. Give me a number on these people.
I mean, I don't keep track of it in a journal or something. I just pop up my Twitter feed. It's just Gus.
I honestly,
Gus is going to revolutionize the show. Gus is the only reason I watch.
You sound like Tim Andercast.
That is not the case. I have plenty of actual data to support what I'm saying here.
It doesn't sound like you do. It sounds like you follow 4 people on Twitter, and they're like, "I like Gus," hold on. You sit there and get fucking triggered over it.
No, that is not what happens. Pat, I'm telling you, I was watching the episode last night with someone who I hadn't watched the episode with before. Only person she knew on the show was Gus.
What show is he from, anyway?
Floribama Shore, that show about the people who are, living in the South and arguing the whole time.
Okay. So, I mean, I've never watched it, so I have no real experience with Gus, but yeah, I'm not hearing all of this Gus buzz. Although I will say that he seems to be a fine character on the show. I have nothing against Gus.
Oh, he doesn't do anything. Apparently he had to. No. Okay, so apparently he had to ask Josh to like get into an argument with him so he could get more screen time because he's just that boring.
Yeah, listen, I have nothing against him, and women do seem to find him very attractive. Maybe you're just jealous of Gus. Like,
I'm not jealous of Gus.
It sounds like you're either triggered or jealous, and maybe they go hand in hand. Maybe you're so jealous you're getting triggered by any mention of Gus.
I just don't need my entire Twitter feed just pumping up Gus when there's plenty of other interesting stuff going on in the show, and Gus doesn't do anything.
All right, so
Gus is in the tribunal this episode and literally doesn't have a single line.
Yeah,
I don't think he had any confessionals the entire episode, and his main alliance in the game, at least his prayer's main alliance in the game, gets eliminated.
Well, now we might get to see
apparently,
more. Now that he's actually going
Hunter,
to.
But
now
then
that he's. Hold on a second. Stop. Listen, you might be a guest on the show, but don't fucking talk over me, all right? So the big thing is you're triggered. I can hear it in your voice, and the fact that you won't take a breath really leads me to believe that you just have something in for Gus. It's very clear. So I don't want to talk about this. It's making you sad, and I don't want you to come on and be sad about it. So what do you like about the season so far?
Pretty much everything else non-Gus related, I'm pretty pro on this season so far. I actually like that the vets are. While I do really enjoy the vets being on, I think having them get eliminated so early actually opens up different storylines that we haven't had before. Like we've seen Johnny versus Wes a lot. We've seen CT, run through a season a lot. We haven't seen like the Paulie versus Kyle dynamic that's kind of taken over so far.
Are we gonna get that? Do you think that we'll get the elimination where?
Yeah,
that has to happen at some point.
It seems like it does because not only do the producers have a huge stake in it happening, if you just think about it logically, like Paulie and Ninja would probably be my pick to win at this point. And so if any team gets power that's not Paulie, like if Paulie and Ninja ever lose a mission basically and Kyle and Maddie don't get in the tribunal, then if a team could just throw in Paulie and he's going to pick Kyle if he has the option to.
I don't know.
But I think it'll happen.
I think Paulie might be a bit more savvy than that, than knowing that where Ninja is probably the best of the female competitors. I would say that you can get into a situation where her worst matchup would be Maddie just because of the size difference. And although Ninja's not significantly smaller than Maddie, that she's sort of like the outlier among the entire female cast.
That's true. It could also go the other way where Kyle calls out Paulie and then Kyle and Matt, I think Paulie and Ninja are the best team, but Kyle and Maddie, it seemed like they'd be just a monster in any physical elimination. Maybe if they go down there and they see it's not like a pole wrestle or a hall brawl and it's something where it's more of a mental game like you had this week or you had when Johnny and Morgan went up against Zach and Zahida, then they would call them out. But it's hard to say.
Yeah, I actually didn't mind the challenge this week, although at no point, as someone who has Wes and D on their fantasy team, at no point was I ever worried that they were going to lose. Although what's Zach doing calling out Wes? That makes no sense.
Yeah, that was really strange to me because they're good friends outside of the show, first off. And then secondly, D was on a UK show beforehand and Zahida was also on a UK show beforehand. And then also Zach threw the ball to Wes a few episodes ago. So you would think it would make sense they have some sort of alliance going, but I guess it was just like a process of elimination thing where they couldn't call it anyone else, so they left calling out Wes.
It just seemed like Zach didn't want to be there this season at all.
He seemed really vacant. Like when they said when they had that teaser last episode and they said someone was going to quit, I honestly thought it was going to be him because he just looked so out of it. But that ended up being kind of a red herring, first off. But then secondly, yeah, I guess when you look up there and you try to pick out, okay, who isn't directly aligned with Zach and who also isn't from the UK, you can't really find anybody. But there's also so many teams that would be easier to go against than Wes and D too.
Well, I was just surprised. This is where I thought that Leroy and Shailene were going to get thrown in. Why not just pick them?
Yeah, I get Zach and Leroy have worked together on past seasons, so I guess that's why. But outside of that, they seem like a team that you would throw in and you'd have a decent shot against. Obviously, he's not going to throw in Jenna, but I'm not betting on her and Gus to win on a puzzle elimination. And then you can even have put in Devon and Bear. And with the way Bear was acting that entire episode, I'm not sure he could have made it out of the little hut alive.
Yeah, it was a pretty impressive Bear performance, I must say. I'm really coming around to. I get why people like him so much. He seems like he's a great character.
Yeah, no, I can see it too. I feel like his antics might get a little old if he stays on the entire season. Because I can't even understand what he's saying most of the time. He's just like jumping around and then diving on stuff. By the way, make sure you remind me to add breaking inanimate object as a point scoring next year.
Oh, so that's a good one. I remember the first episode of Real World San Diego, the second one, when Frank was just destroying all the planters around the house. I mean, you could get into that situation if someone got really blackout drunk during the challenge house as well. But I want to kind of circle back. You mentioned something about this like glitter thing that I had no idea existed. Can you kind of inform me to what this is?
Okay, so I don't have exact details on it, but from what I know, Natalie Negrodi, before she got eliminated, got into some argument with Zach. And then after she got eliminated, she took glitter and like dumped it all over his bed and then like left some nasty notes along with it. And then I guess Zach didn't really like realize it was there and then either fell asleep on it or was just hanging around it. And then he inhaled a lot of the glitter and then almost had to go to the ER.
Man, if there's ever an excuse to not invite that Natalie girl back, this is it. Beyond everything else.
Well, there's also the fact she didn't do it. Yeah, she didn't do anything.
Yeah, she's not a super compelling character. And Paul and I talked about this last week that she called Kyle a bully for picking her into elimination.
Oh my gosh, that made me so angry. Like, wait, you're on a freaking competition show. Like, there's no weight classes. This isn't the UFC, so I hate to tell you.
It's mind-boggling. It's just, I hated it so much. It's been my least favorite thing on the challenge in some time. It's just that one line from her. And like I told Paul, like it could have been from something completely different that they spliced in to make it seem that way. Although I don't think so.
I don't think so either because Devon had a recap the other day, and she mentioned how. And I forget what the search and destroy mission where they had like the balls and they're running through the mud pit, that Natalie got pissed off at Cam because Cam like took the ball from her and she was like, "You're so big, it's not fair that you take the ball from me."
Well, I believe that you are on the wrong show if you're starting to think that way.
Yeah, major Napoleon complex, I guess, with now. She always seemed kind of like, she came off really artificial in her confessionals. I just don't think this was the show for her.
Like this season of the challenge, or just the challenge in general?
No, just the challenge in general. Other people really like her, so maybe I'm wrong. I just never found her all that compelling of a character.
Yeah, I don't find her super compelling either, and like she's just not that good of a competitor. So if you're not going to be a super compelling character and not be like a maniac like Amanda is, although like why didn't they pick Josh and Amanda, Zach this week? Like,
I guess Zach's reasoning was like that. So Amanda, I guess, is on his side now because they both hate Cara, and the house is basically just, if you hate Cara or do you not mind Cara, and that's just where the alliances are, I guess, at this point.
That seems so bizarre, though.
I know it does, but especially when you think about how they ended last season. Also, too, like Amanda's generally pretty decent at puzzles, so maybe they didn't want to take her in this elimination. I don't know, but I just cannot imagine why you would pick Wes and D in this elimination.
Yeah, like if you're not going to pick Amanda because she's good at puzzles, why pick Wes, who's probably even better?
Yeah, Wes is better at puzzles, has the most elimination wins of any guy of all time. Plus, D hasn't been like a slouch either so far, and it seems like she kills Zahida in just about anything besides like a crying competition.
Yeah, D actually, it's really hard to glean too much from that elimination, but just even her like sprinting to the bell and doing the puzzle, she actually seemed quite good.
Yeah, she would beat Zahida to the like little switch by like 6 seconds sometimes. It's not like it's a super long running range they're going on. How would you rank the female prospects, by the way, so far?
Rank the what? Sorry,
like top four.
Top four teams.
Like the female prospects. No, just the female prospects, like the female rookies on this season.
Well, Ninja's by far the best.
Ninja has to be number one, yeah.
Yeah, Ninja's by far power rank number one. I'm trying to think now. It's probably D or Maddie, I guess, number two, unless there's someone I'm just not thinking.
Yeah, I think I would pick Georgia number two. Honestly,
oh yeah, Georgia,
such a baller so far.
Georgia has been really good. I don't know what was going on. I mean, I'll talk about that with Paul, but I don't know what the hell was going on with Hunter. That was just strange.
Yeah, it did seem really strange. Maybe he was like hungover the night before or something. Who knows?
Yeah, so those are probably the four. Georgia, D, Ninja, and Maddie are probably the top four rookie girls.
Yeah, I think Maddie definitely seems like she could be even better than Ninja in terms of just physical eliminations. But I think overall I'd take Georgia. Because like it came out the other day on an interview Ninja did that Georgia runs 10 miles a day every morning at 6. So I think she can handle a final.
So I didn't know that. So that would be, listen, it's good because I have Georgia on my team because Hunter was a bit too expensive. So I had to go the Hunter route because I do like Hunter. People hate Hunter. I actually like Hunter a little bit. But yeah, Georgia's pretty good. I think that Maddie, if she sticks on the challenge, that she'll eventually get into really good shape and then she'll become really good.
Yeah, okay, that makes some sense. Like if you've seen like the other challenge women who are just tall like she is, like Emily or Laurel, their first seasons were really good, but then after that is where they actually started to get some more endurance and conditioning type stuff.
Yeah, once you figure out what you need to do to train for the challenge, it's like, it's even like Kyle. You see Kyle from his first season, Kyle to now, it looks like he's done like 3 cycles of steroids.
Yeah, Kyle looks like a boss now. I think that is something people really underrate too, where people will come onto the challenge with just, big muscles and they have like some athletic background, so people assume they'll be good. But I really think a lot of these missions and eliminations just break down to pattern recognition and having just that innate challenge IQ of knowing what you have to do. And that's why you'll see people like Wes and Johnny and Cara and Sarah, people who have been on for a while, outperform the new people, even if they're not as in good shape.
It does seem like Kyle has a bit of that too. I know this thing with Kara is really blowing up in his face and it's making him a target, but just every season he's been on, he's an asshole, but he's a fun asshole. As long as you're not the person that he's picking on, everyone else seems to like him.
He also seems to have that sort of like producer gene that Wes and Johnny have. Like when he convinced Bear to run up the steps and then jump on the poker table, not only was that good for TV and also good for his alliance because it take some attention off Zach. That's just such a next level move for someone who's only done a few seasons. Yeah,
I guess some people just understand reality TV and the other people don't. But he also just seems like a fun hang. And that was always the big Derek thing too. Like Derek was like super angry the first few seasons he was on, but then he just became a guy who was a good hang. Everyone liked him. And Kyle, well, not everyone likes him. He does seem like if everyone is out either in the house or when they go to the club, they haven't done that this season because I don't know if they will or not. But if you go out, he's just a fun guy to be around. And that does go a long way when you're stuck in a house with someone for 6 weeks.
I'm not really sure there are any clubs in Namibia, so I don't think we're getting any club scenes this time around.
I'm sure that there are clubs in Namibia. I'm just not sure that they're going to go to any of the clubs in Namibia.
Well, I don't know if there's clubs within driving range and where they are in Namibia.
Yeah, how isolated are they out there?
It seems pretty isolated. I mean, obviously we don't know for sure, but like everywhere you look, it's just desert. It seems like they're almost at like a military like encampment site or something that they rented out.
Well, I know that Mad Max Fury Road was filmed like very closely to where they are right now. It might just be where the production stayed for that they just took over that facility.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad, because you get a lot of Mad Max vibes from the season too, especially with the missions they've had so far.
Yeah, how have you felt about the mission so far, and even the eliminations? Like, I thought the very first mission in the first episode, or the second episode, the tug of war one, was really stupid because you couldn't tell what was going on. But all of them since, and this one next week looks just intense with like tires being drugged behind cars. That they're really upping their game for the missions this time around.
Yeah, I think they've really nailed it with this season too. Where I think what's the challenge, you want the missions to be more complicated and to have more moving parts and to be a bit more flashy. And then with the eliminations, I actually think they're better if they're more simple, just like, a power ball or a pole wrestle, not having these weird, complicated ones like they had last season. So I've been a big fan of both of them so far.
All right, so takeaways so far, you think that Pauly and Natalie are the team to beat? I don't think they're going to win. I think that too many people just don't like Pauly. And they'll get cred. Hold on, they'll also get cred for being the best team because Ninja is so good that any opportunity that, if Kara is not in the position of power, they're going to have a target on their back just by being a really good team.
That's definitely true. I definitely think they'll be a target. I just think I think they'll beat pretty much anybody in elimination besides maybe Kyle and Maddie. And then like, do you think they're a bigger target at this point than Kara and Theo?
Yeah, I feel like Kara and Theo are just flying underneath the radar because like Theo doesn't really do much.
Well, I guess the thing with that too is since Theo is UK and then Kara isn't and is kind of like directly opposed to them, they have kind of feet in both corners here where they're going to be able to skate by if it's UK in power or if it's not them. So I guess that works in their favor. I don't know. Maybe I am overlooking how many people hate Pauly, but I don't think that's really been that apparent so far, honestly.
Yeah, and I think it was even you who mentioned it to me. Just like even like the Pauly Kyle drama does seem to be somewhat fabricated at this point.
Yeah, it's like, and you see them interacting on Twitter and they're relatively cordial. I think it's mostly just for show. It's just whenever the cameras go around, they decide to fight each other.
So if it's not, who do you think who do you think the most popular person is of the new cast of the show? Because I have yet to find anyone who doesn't like Turbo.
Yo, definitely. Well, there's obviously the whole Gus situation, but then outside of that, yeah, Turbo is definitely the breakout star. I'm all in on Turbo.
Turbo's great. He just seems like a real genuinely nice guy.
The thing with Turbo too is usually when people are sort of like him and they're quiet, they just don't do much and kind of sit in the background. But he's weirdly like so mysterious and so foreign that he gets a decent amount of screen time because it's just funny to see someone from his environment have to interact with all these crazy people.
If he wasn't Turkish and he didn't have like a language barrier and like there was like comedy in that while he's trying to interact with people, he just throws off Landon vibes to me in terms of like the competitor that he's going to be.
Yeah, no, I definitely buy that too. He has like a similar build to Landon, and just how funny was it too, by the way, in the mission when Nani said we should go at a slow pace, and he's like, "What is this steady pace you speak of?"
She wasn't wrong by saying, "Hey, let's not gas out here at the beginning. Let's go at a medium pace."
Yeah. Dude, how crazy was Bear in that mission too? Just like unhooking himself in the chain, yelling at everybody like he's like 6 years old.
Well, I kind of get it. Like, I actually got his point about it was we're not going to come inside the top 3. We're in last right now. Like, why gas ourselves out doing this? It seems rather pointless. And then you have the freak out to make it onto TV and make it like a thing that, hey, it got him 20 minutes of TV time. Like that factors into these people on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I netted him 69 fantasy points, so I guess he got some success there.
So you're doing a thing right now. I think you have a poll up about like the top female challengers of all time.
Yeah, so I took a lot of the top, like basically a lot of the top female challenge competitors of all time. And just basically like if you guys did the top challenge season survey I did before, it's just like that, where you just rank them 1 through 10. And then once I get a decent enough number of the results, I'll release them.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll probably end up I'll probably have you on to discuss the results of this. And if people hit the description, they can find the show that you and I did about the best challenge seasons. We have my challenge seasons, yours, and what the viewers also voted. And where can people find that, by the way, if they want to vote in it?
If you just go to my Twitter account, I have my Medium articles posted there. Just go to those articles, and every article that's come out recently has a link to that survey, or you can just click on the survey itself.
All right, so it's at RobMCI16 on Twitter. I'll actually go in and get the link to that Medium article and provide it in the description of this video and podcast if people want to go vote in that. But I wonder if it's going to skew towards some of the newer people. And I mean, have you looked at the results yet? I mean, I don't want to influence anything, but like I have a pretty good idea in my mind of who I think the top female competitors of all time are.
I do too. I definitely think it'll lean a little bit towards more recent people, but also it's going to be impossible to factor out bias in these rankings. So if people don't like one of those recent people, then they might get a ton of downvotes. So I think that'll hopefully weigh out sort of even. But I have a hard time thinking anyone like in the top 6 having not appeared on the season, you know. Like I don't think we're getting anyone pre-cutthroat that's going to make the top 6 or 8 or so.
You don't think that there's going to be some sort of love for like Coral looking back or like old school Veronica?
That could be the case because maybe people are encouraged if you don't have an opinion to just skip over them. I don't know how often that people will actually do that though. So maybe they'll just hop over Coral and she won't get bumped up that much.
Like
people keep thinking.
Go ahead.
No, just that people keep thinking like that Kara is going to end up winning and then something like that's going to happen. I don't see that being the case.
I would actually put Kara and like Sarah on the same plane in terms of challenge competitors. Like they're not inside the top 3. Like I think the top 3 are pretty clear, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think it's got to be Emily, Evelyn, and Laurel in some order at the top 3.
That's what I had. I would say that Emily is probably the best. I think she's the best. Laurel might be the best athlete of the bunch. Ev is clearly the smartest. She's a great athlete. And she just doesn't have the size as the other two. But Emily just seems like a monster. And no one hates Emily. And that goes a long way of... In the house, yes, people are afraid of Laurel, but people also hate Laurel at the same time. No one really seems to have a bad word to say about Emily.
See, I kind of like the grinder mentality that Evelyn and Laurel have over Emily. So I actually, with With mine, I think I go Evelyn, Emily, Laurel. I appreciate the mental edge Evelyn has. And like when you come to puzzles, or even when we talked about earlier with just having that pattern recognition of finding the most efficient way to do something, I think Evelyn has it over anybody else.
Well, like if we did best male competitors of all time, like Alton and like old Alton, not Alton who came back and was just crazy. Like Alton and Landon would be two of the top ones. And I always find that like Emily Schramm is a lot like Landon. Like they're there to win. And they're not there to like fight with people. They're not there to strategize against people. They're just playing the game. And that it ended up costing Landon in the duel too, because he left the room and everyone voted for him, which was incredibly stupid. But most of the time it worked in his favor that no one really had a specific beef with him and no one wanted to go against him.
The difference I think there is though, like, I don't think Emily is that good in finals. And like, if we're talking about who's going to help you win, I don't know how much she helps you do that, because in cutthroat final, I don't think that one really counts. X issue was with ties, and so you can mostly point your finger there. But even Rivals 2 where she won, the reason she won was Paula.
Having a good partner to not hold her back was probably the key to that. Like Ty was abysmal in that X's final. Like he was bad. And in the cutthroat, it was like her and Jen running against like the good team.
Yeah, no, it was just her and Jen up against the gray and the red team. So that one I don't really count. I just think Evelyn has such a proven track record in finals, and she has a proven track record of being really intelligent and being really athletic. I just don't think she has any weaknesses, so I just try to pick her.
I would say that the only weakness Evelyn would have as a character on this show is that A, she gets in her own head sometimes and takes herself out of the competition, which isn't good. And she's sort of like female Wes in a sense that people always think she's up to something. And that never really works out in your favor. Now, usually she outsmarts everyone anyway and gets away with it, and it works. But people are always like, they have their radar just to pay extra attention to Evelyn, where with Emily, there's no extra attention. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to face her.
That's true, but like, I think in her later seasons, though, she definitely seemed to calm down. Like, if you look at her on Rivals, she really didn't ruffle any feathers there.
Yeah. Like, I guess Kara would get vaulted into that because she's done so well, but I think a part of her doing so well, at least recently, has been a lack of really top-end female competitors.
Yeah, and there's also been a little bit more of a rotating door with female competitors lately. Like one will pop up for a season or two, but then not stick around. Like Tori was really good on Dirty 30, but then she hasn't really had the chance to compete in the season since then. Same thing with like Kayla, who was really good on Dirty 30, hasn't done all that. I guess she made the final in Vendetta, so I don't think she was much of a threat to win there.
So I guess the two that we're kind of overlooking is Cam seems like she's going to be pretty good. So I like Cam, but she doesn't have the track record yet to be in the conversation. But even with Kara and Sarah, I'll throw Coral into that mix. Camilla's the other one.
Camilla's not winning. She is going to have too much blowback.
She is, but like if we're talking, people don't like her. But if we're talking about just like competition-wise, competitive-wise in these shows, like she might have a better track record than Kara does.
Well, she beat Kara on Dirty 30. She beat Kara. I think a big reason for that though was there was this unaired segment where they had to like ride these bikes, and she was paired with Jordan, and apparently Jordan they completely dusted everybody in that one. So I think that might have been a huge factor in her winning. So it's hard to say if she really outperformed Kara in that final. Yeah, I mean, Camilla is very good, and like she has that adaptability where she can do a bunch of different things. Very athletic, especially towards the end of her challenge career. That's one thing I really miss though, is like with Sarah not really being on the show anymore. We never saw a prime Kara versus prime Sarah season to sort of determine who's the best female of the past few years.
Yeah, I guess the one thrown into the mix that we don't even talk about, we really should, is probably Ashley.
Yeah, it's so hard with Ashley because both of her wins people kind of like put down because on Invasion she didn't have to go up against any champions in elimination. And then on Final Reckoning, her and Hunter came in later, and Hunter was probably a bigger factor in them winning that final than she was. But I mean, yeah, I think Ashley is really good. And if you hear people talk who have been on the show, they all say she's way better than she looks like on TV. So I would put her not quite up in that class, but I think she's like right around like number 10 best female competitor ever.
Is there any like sleepers that you can think of the list, just like going back over the years? Like, I guess the one that we didn't bring up, who's probably number 4, like if you want to talk about someone who could break into that top 3, it's probably Rachel, isn't it?
Rachel's one. I think two that don't get talked about either too are Jody, who just completely dominated the duel.
She had one.
And then
She
Cook,
had,
who was only on one.
Yeah, Cook was good, but Jody only had one dominant season. Like she was bad in the other seasons. Like what is it, Inferno 2 or Inferno 3? Like she sucked.
Well, in Inferno 2, she just lost in that one thing against Veronica where they had to wrap themselves up in toilet paper.
Yeah,
and then on Gauntlet 2, her team won.
Wait, Gauntlet 2 or Gauntlet 3?
It was Gauntlet 2 she was on. That was the one where she was on a team with – that team was actually really good. She was on a team with, like, Landon, Alton, and Keena. And then they ended up winning. And she was really – if you go back and watch it, she was really good on that season.
Yeah, Rachel by herself, though. I mean, even when they had, like, the X's season, Rachel had to compete with the guys.
Yeah, because she was partnered with Anissa.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Is Anissa the worst competitor ever?
I don't know. I don't think she's the worst because she has like some decent elimination track record, has won a few missions. Like someone like Siobhan is probably the worst.
No, but okay. Out of the female competitors that people would potentially put on this list, is Anissa the worst?
Honestly, I don't know if she's the worst, but I do think she's one of the ones I would least want to have on my team, just because she can actually win a lot of eliminations. But then once you get to a final, she's going to be a complete anchor there. So if I could like put her on like my opponent's team, she'd be like the first pick there.
Yeah, she's female Big Easy.
That might be a little bit far.
I mean, she has been pathetic in finals.
She's only been in the one, and she was a disaster for poor Mark Long in that final. But I wouldn't. I mean, Big Easy almost died in the final,
and CT was not too happy with him.
No, he was not. That's the funniest thing with that one, too, is at the start, CT gets angry at Evan and is like, you have to encourage him. You can't just yell at him. And then 16 seconds later, he's just screaming at him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, that team had, what, like 10 people left on it in the finals? I don't know how much money was going to be divvied up between them, but, like, they knew they had to get rid of them, and they didn't get rid of them. Like, it was stupid.
Yeah. No, that one was on them. Also, the producers, too. I don't think that's really, like, a good decision to chain all these people together and have them run for that long when one of them is clearly so out of shape compared to the rest of them. That had to have been like an oversight by their health department there.
Yeah, I mean, that was Gauntlet 3. Where was that filmed? Like South Africa?
That was Mexico.
Oh, that's in Mexico? Then yeah, they're probably playing by Mexican rules down there.
I mean, they're playing by all these weird foreign country rules, I guess. Well, the challenge safety department, by the way, I don't know if I'd really trust myself with those guys.
I mean, they haven't had anything significantly bad go wrong with the actual like engineering of like some of the stuff they're doing, like holding people over like 10,000 foot cliffs and shit like that. Like they're pretty good with that stuff.
I don't know. Like remember on Dirty 30, which wasn't even that long ago, when they had that awful parachuting crew where Jordan, breaks something in his leg as he lands, and then Camilla and Cara end up like a mile away from everybody else.
Yeah, that didn't turn out well. But I mean, out of all of the missions and challenges they've done, for the extreme stuff that they do, it's been a very, very low track record of stuff going wrong.
I mean, from what we're shown, I guess so. I don't know. I still am very skeptical of that whole group. I remember this was from a while ago, but there was this one season, like one out of like the first 4 or 5, where they had like this human catapult mission. And when they were testing it, one of the producers like broke like some ribs in their arm or something. So I don't know. I would not trust those people.
Hey, that's why they test it out, to see if stuff's going to go right and stuff's going to go wrong. You can only find out by putting it into practical application.
I guess, man, being a challenge mission tester too, that's a real low rent job.
No, that's a great job, because it's probably a lot of the engineers that are doing it. Like I was even talking to Paul about this like a few weeks ago, that like if you became an engineer, being like a challenge engineer seems like a very high end job for just max fun you can have doing it.
No, it does sound like a great job. Although there is a lot of traveling to weird countries, so I guess that might be kind of annoying. And you have to live with all those maniacs that they're with. So
yeah, but it's not like they live in. I mean, some of the producers live in the house in like the control room, but the production team housing is it's not that house.
Yeah, that's true. I always wonder, especially like in this season in Namibia, where are they living? Like, is there like a hotel, a mile down the way that they're staying in?
Yeah, or in this one, they probably just have like rented out a different compound for all production and producers to stay at, and TJ.
Yeah, Yeah, that makes some sense. And I feel like TJ's literally there for like 6 seconds, and the rest of the time he's just like traveling around.
Yeah, I really do think that they could use a stunt double and just shoot all of the stuff on a green screen, and they might be doing that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good call. Their production values have been insane this season, though. Like, even just like the walk up to the mission this week was fantastic.
Yeah, the amount of like high-end drone shots that they have, like those cameras are not cheap. Like they just like you have to think like even something I remember reading about in The Town, like all those Ben Affleck movies have the like a weird helicopter tracking shot. Like a shot like that costs so much money, and obviously a drone is going to be cheaper, but it's not like cheap either.
No, yeah, definitely. And they're like legit in every episode in multiple scenes. Like every time they cut to an elimination, they have it. Whenever they're like walking up to the mission, they'll have those dramatic shots of TJ like staring off in the distance at the people. It's great.
Well, I mean, when you're Bun and Murray and you don't have to produce Real World anymore, except for on Facebook, you got a lot of extra budget to go around.
That's definitely true. Oh, great soundtrack even too this season, by the way. I've been using it to like work out and run to lately. It's been awesome.
Really? I don't recognize any of the songs because I'm not a young.
Well, you don't have to recognize them.
I'm an old, so I'm not listening to new music anymore.
Oh, that's sad. I mean, I don't recognize most of the songs too before they're on the show, but then like I just mix it in with my usual DMX and Kanye while I'm running. It's great.
Okay. Rob McIntyre. Check him out on The Challenge Chronicles. You can find that wherever you can download podcasts. After Battle of the Sexes, what's next after that? Because I know there's one more episode to be released, but like I'm done with it.
Yeah, after Sexes 2, we have Inferno 2, and then I think we'll go through like the ranking of the female competitors. Yeah, Inferno 2, we were really getting to a good season now, finally.
Yeah, I think I had Inferno 2 at number 2 or number 3 on my best seasons list, so I'm excited to go back and rewatch that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, it is a very good season. That's also one of the first seasons too where things actually start to get kind of physical. Because like in Battle of the Sexes, you can't really have that much physical competition. But then in Inferno 2 is where actually you start to get some of the missions to recognize them these days.
Inferno 2 must be is it the last Miz season?
Yeah, Inferno 2 is the last season of The Miz, unfortunately.
Oh, there you go. Another reason to tune in. You get classic Miz. Miz can go out on top as a great character. But anyway, thanks for being on the line, Rob. We'll have you back on in a few weeks.
Yep, sounds good, man. Can't wait.
All right, coming up next, the actual recap for episode 5 with myself and Paul Shaughnessy. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Pat Mayo Experience. Let's dig into episode 5 of Challenge War of the Worlds and the fantasy scoring. Joining me to break it down, as he is wont to do, is Paul Shaughnessy. What's up?
I'm back. I had a hell of a night last night, and I am fired up about it.
You had, what, 5 of 6 in the tribunal?
5 of 6 in the tribunal. Only one that I didn't have was Cam. Obviously, Turbo I didn't have on my team, but 5 of 6. When they were doing that challenge, I was just like, yep. I have Cara Maria as my captain too. She scored the most. I'm burying all of the lead things that you're supposed to lead up. She had the most points. I get the double or the points and a half. Like everything's coming up, Paul Shag.
You're taking a big victory lap here in episode 5.
You know what though?
We have like 10 to go here.
In the past, I'm usually a hot starter and then I fizzle out. This time, we started a little bit slow. Things are all coming up my way. I'm feeling really good about this season, though.
So you haven't lost any? I haven't lost anyone yet.
No.
I almost lost 2 with Wes and D last night. Didn't happen. But
No, I haven't
I'm
lost.
still 6 of 6 here.
I'm still 6 of 6 as well.
So we'll see how this turns out.
Things are starting to head in my direction. It's good.
All right, so let's
Feels
recap.
real good.
Let's recap the fantasy scoring from last night. You mentioned Kara, number 1, 118 fantasy points. Ninja, number 2, 75. Bear, 69, after an impressive solo performance on his part. Polly, 63. D, 60. Nani, 55. Zahida, she's gone, but she scored 53 points on the way out. Wes, 46. Turbo, 41. And Theo, 35. Good performance by Bear. I don't think he's going to be sticking around too long, though.
Yeah, like they're the layup team. And like you could see with Ninja Natalie, like she wanted, like everything in her being said that she wanted to put him into it because this is what she stands for and well, yada, yada, yada. I don't really care about any of that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, It's the layup team.
Okay.
You save the layup team for when you get thrown in so you can go after the layup team. Why try to get rid of him right now when you're not able to go against them?
Who are the layup teams then? You have those two.
Yeah.
Josh and Amanda seem like a layup team.
Yeah.
I don't know if Gus and Jenna are a layup team, although if Rob was in the competition, he'd be too triggered and wouldn't be able to face against Gus.
He was actually, I think we're doing it in order, right?
Yeah.
So he was actually legitimately triggered by Gus.
It's
I don't know if it's the hair. I've never heard anybody except for him and you bringing it up to me last week, like talk about Gus. Like Gus is basically a non-factor all the way around. And based on how the season is playing out right now,
Yeah, you don't see much.
Like, I don't think there's going to be very much Gus or Jenna moving forward.
Are Leroy and Shailene a layup team?
Yeah, pretty much. They're pretty much dead man walking as well right now.
Are Bear and Devon a layup team?
Oh, like the layup team. There were some people in like the comment section on YouTube that were giving us heat for giving Bear and Davon a hard time. There's you got to put some respect on their name. It's just like, I would say after what we just saw in that episode, pretty much a layup team. Like they look pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know who Devon is beating from the female side, and I can't fathom who Bear is beating in any sort of, like, let's say it's a physical competition, because there's going to be more physical competitions. Who's he beating? No one.
Like maybe they have a chance against Josh and Amanda.
Maybe.
But Amanda, I think from what we've seen in the past, considerably better competitor than Davon. So like we need Bear to beat Josh, and Josh looks a hell of a lot bigger than Bear. So honestly, I really don't see anybody that they could beat right now.
So it's always tough to vote in Devon because she needs the money for her kid, but it's also hard to vote in Amanda because she needs the money for her family. Like, how do you vote any of these people in?
And nobody else has
has
families.
No one needs the money. It's only those two. Can't wait to hear some more sob stories. Like, it affected Ninja Natalie. She started crying when Devon was talking. Like, good manipulation on Devon's part.
It's like when you get into an Uber and the guy starts telling you like how life is so hard in an Uber vehicle.
There needs to be an Uber.
Like, you've been there before.
of
It's just
course
like
I
this
have.
guy is trying to like soften me up for tips. And like, hey, maybe sometimes it works, maybe it doesn't. But like half of the time I'm just like, you know what? I'm not giving you a tip because I know the exact game that you're playing right now. You're trying to make me feel bad. You decided to do this job. It's not my fault you decided to do this job and it's not panning out.
Yeah, I have sympathy.
That's a little harsh.
I have
It's a little
sympathy
harsh.
for the Uber drivers. The one thing I don't want to do when I get into an Uber is talk to the driver. There needs to be some sort of option in Uber that I can press. Be like, please do not talk to me. Ask me where I'm going, although it's very clear. Ask me who I am so you can confirm that I am the person who's supposed to be in this Uber. Because that's happened to me before. And someone has just taken my Uber.
Yeah,
Which makes
they're
no sense.
supposed to ask every single time, even
They're-
when they pick me up in front of my place, and I live in like a side street in Toronto. Like, if there's one person jumping into a random car on the street, like, there's no way that anyone would ever turn down my street and I would steal someone else's Uber. I guess there is an off chance, but like they always still ask me if it's me. It's just like looking around the street. There's nobody else here. Who else could it possibly be?
They should be asking you that. Although I don't know who would want to steal an Uber because then they're going to wherever you have punched in where to go, which just seems really strange.
It's true.
But it's not that I don't want to talk to them, although I don't. I'd rather just be left alone, like with my headphones in the back seat. I just get no downtime. I'm here. We're talking the entire time. I go home. I got a newborn kid. My wife is there. It's a nice like 20 minutes where I can just chill the fuck out.
Yeah,
And I
you got
don't
it.
need some guy telling me his entire life story the entire time that results in him giving me his business card, which I will then immediately throw out. Like, there was one guy who I actually did talk to right when Uber first started. It was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. It was during the Toronto International Film Festival. And he took up Uber just for that week in the off chance that like producers and people would get picked up. And he had cards ready. I thought that was kind of savvy. But
yeah, just linger around. Like, our studio's relatively close
Yeah.
to the area. Just linger around that area. That's not a bad strategy. Or if like you know that there's like a hot dinner night or drink night or something like that, which they're all over the city. You just kind of linger around there. Eventually, you're probably gonna pick up someone famous.
yeah, so strategically, I appreciated what that guy was up to.
Did you give him? Did you take his business card?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you ever call him back?
No, of course not.
So it didn't work.
Well, it didn't work on me, but what was I going to hire him
You
for?
appreciate the hustle.
Yeah, I didn't even appreciate the hustle. I appreciate the strategy that went in behind what he was doing. He was only driving Uber for the 10 days that the film festival was going on. And he was like, yeah, I don't actually need to do this. Like, I'm a writer.
See, I generally don't mind talking to Uber drivers when I get in. I'll talk for the first little bit, and usually within a few sentences, I can tell whether we should continue or not. Yeah. And then it's the awkward, like...
That's why I don't want to start it.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's just like, oh, God, nah, yeah. And but like sometimes I've had some really good conversations.
Sure. I mean, I don't.
It depends on like how lubricated I am going. Like,
yeah, I guess
if I've had some drinks, if I've got friends in the car with me, like I am the guy who will like sit in the front of the Uber and take care of it while everyone else in the back just, does their thing.
I have been in some cities where the mob still runs the cabs, so you have to sit in the front seat of the Uber so that they don't get wise to that you're actually driving an Uber. So you're just driving.
That was a bit of an issue here before, actually.
Was it? Like when that guy, taxi driver, said that Uber is ISIS and then hung onto the side of the car, and then after that, cabs kind of went away.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stories on the news around here of people getting like Uber drivers getting attacked and like trying to run them off the road. Like it's tamed down quite a bit. I think a lot of the old cabs that were really angry probably just moved over to Uber.
They did.
Lyft.
Absolutely they did. You always like you have like Lyft and you have Uber. They just like switch whatever like device app that they're on to pick people up, and they all seem to be.
They all use both. They all use both. They said that you can't even. They said you can't even survive if you don't. Yeah, like you have to be using both at this point.
See, that makes a lot of sense.
When I've talked to Uber drivers.
See, I get that I'm coming off like an asshole that I don't want to talk to them, but like I just don't.
I don't want to talk to some of them. I don't know until a few sentences in whether I do or not.
There should also be a scent-free option. Not that I'm directly affected by smell, but like some of these, like it sounds like it. You walk into some of the Ubers and like they either smell terrible or they smell like someone just took like an Axe body spray shower, and I don't need to be smelling that.
Probably smoking cigs.
I'd rather smell the cigs.
Yeah, I know.
I'm in on
most
the cigs.
Other people are against the cigs in that situation.
Okay, I get that to most people cigarettes smell terrible, but if they smell worse than someone coating themselves in fucking Axe body spray, like that's disgusting.
It's true.
I see people at the gym do it too. Like they don't shower; they just fucking give themselves the Axe shower. Like where? Are you,
I appreciate that.
Where are you going?
One,
like where this is socially acceptable.
One, you should shower.
Yeah,
that is the actual absolute move.
If you're gonna sweat, you shower.
If you're gonna take the public transit back home, though, like yeah, I do appreciate that you're at least taking some sort of step. One, you should be showering, but two, it's like if you're gonna be on the streetcar holding on to like the railing stuff with your greasy, sweaty, unclean pits in my face, I appreciate that you at least put some disgusting Axe body spray on to at least like to limit the damage.
Yeah, but I don't find like after a gym workout, as long as you like, is usually when you wake up, you put on deodorant. At least most sensible people do.
Yeah.
That even after you work out, you don't smell from the sweat. You're just incredibly sweaty.
It's when it dries up.
It's when it dries up that you encounter a problem.
On said streetcar
yeah,
on the way home.
You're probably good for like if you were like drenched in sweat, you're probably gonna shower. But even if like you break like a minimal sweat, you're better off not putting on the Axe. People probably aren't gonna smell you if you're not like profusely sweating.
Okay.
That would be my take on it. Anyway, this episode wasn't that great.
I thought it was okay.
There just wasn't. It was mission. It was elimination.
Everything was coming up me, so I felt good about it.
It was the mission. It was the elimination, but there was not really much going on.
Not much drama in between. A lot of the people who were like featured in stories at the beginning or like previous episodes were kind of took a back seat. Like Kyle was kind of taking a back seat because feels like anybody who gets like the relic just kind of have like an episode off after that because like
maybe, although I did watch the next episode on and it seems like Wes is making a move knowing he cannot be eliminated, which I appreciate.
Wes is the guy who would
use that to his
advantage. Everyone else should be doing that, but Wes is the one who's savvy enough to it. He's going to be causing some problems and he's going after the Brits. I feel as though we were talking about it last episode, the Brits alliance.
It needs to be
starts becoming a little bit more clear right now as to what's going on.
It also seems relatively problematic too that Zahida didn't want to vote in Bear because that's a part of her alliance.
Theo and Caro weren't on the same page either.
But like that could also be like a split vote situation. That's almost a strategy to play it as a team. Is just kind of throw both your votes in two separate directions and just hope nothing sticks. Then no one's mad at you over it either.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's so many Brits. Like eventually you're gonna have to vote someone in. And if it means you staying in the game, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The Brits don't seem to understand that so far.
Yeah, but there's so many of them.
They're everywhere. They are everywhere. And they make great TV. Bear makes great TV.
Oh, he's a
I'm
maniac.
I'm big on Bear. I need to see him getting boozed more often, freaking out more often.
What was that poker? The poker table shenanigans was like that was the highlight of the show by far.
Kyle talking him into it.
Smart move by Kyle. It's interesting that Kyle's not really in with the Brits. Like he's not really in on that Brit. I don't really know who is. Yeah, nobody wants to attach themselves to Kyle right now because they know that Kyle is completely against Paulie and like that other alliance that's going on right now.
But Paulie's not really in an alliance with anyone except for Kara. I guess he gets the benefits of being with Kara as it comes into it. Like if she's with Theo's in with the Brits, maybe that protects them. I think it's going to come back to haunt them. The fact that they don't have a strong alliance outside of one other team. And Ninja Natalie is just awesome. And you need to get rid of her. If you're in the game, she is the one person. You need to get rid of that team because she's so much better than all the other girls.
She is really good.
Like, you have to get rid of her or you're going to lose.
She's not great TV, though.
She's not great TV, but...
She seems like she gets a little too triggered to be in this type of environment.
I like she gets fired up. And
she seems like she gets upset and offended.
She did.
She's not playing the game. She is getting played inside of the game.
I don't know about.
She's on my team. Listen, like
she's on my team.
The struggle that I'm having with my team right now is just like I watch the episodes and they're scoring points, and I feel good about that. I don't really like a lot of the people on my team.
See, that's why
I don't enjoy.
That's why I picked the people that I liked.
Like I don't mind Paulie. I actually enjoy Paulie, but Kara's starting to egg on me. Like I don't really enjoy her as much as I used to. Ninja Natalie just kind of feels like a dud. Like if I was at a party, she would be the one yelling at me for being out of control. Like,
no. See, Ninja Natalie telling Bear to calm his tits was probably the best part of the episode. I think that was my favorite part. You need to calm your tits.
That's a good line.
That's a great line.
He ran in, jumped onto the poker table, said, "Cam, did you trip me?" Ripped the whole like it was such a bizarre move.
Do you know anyone like that? Because I do. I know like 2 or 3 people
that would do what?
That would pull that sort of stunt.
No, I don't know anybody that extreme.
Yeah, they're
do I know these people?
No. I just know them from growing up. But
yeah, no, like that's
they're not the most fun to drink around.
That's like it's so like that's so aggressive.
Yeah, well they get
like how could you?
Because you get blackout drunk after like 20 minutes because you drink so much and then you're just off the rails.
How do you recover from that? Like
I don't know. The fact that they didn't get thrown in is huge for them.
Well, it just proves that they're the layup.
I guess so.
Like everyone else is just like, let's save them for when I'm in the killing zone, killing field, killing.
It's not the killing field. I can assure you of that.
Killing zone.
Killing floor.
Killing floor. Killing floor. When they end up in the killing floor, like you want that team there just for.
But we just named off like 5 layup
because they're not going to win the freaking relic. They're not going to win anything.
It depends on what it is, I guess. If it was the competition from last night, I do think that they would have had a chance against Zach and Zahida, who just seemed ill-equipped to try to win. Like Wes and D had no chance of losing, it seemed, at any point.
No.
So I mean, our Devon seems like she's relatively sharp. She can do the puzzle. Bear doesn't seem like a moron. Like he does seem like a moron, but I don't think he's like stupid. But
no, a lot of this is all. And Bear just basically last night's episode got himself back in the game.
Yeah, he's gonna be back next season now if he wants to be. It's just cause some shit.
Yeah, cause some shit. Like, cause honestly, going into that episode, we'd seen him with Georgia like making out a little bit, but he didn't really get very much screen time. And from what you had told me about him, is Big Brother, 2-time winner or something like that. Yeah,
celebrity Big Brother or something.
Sure. So it's just like
big in Europe.
They had to pay him money. Like he got probably a pretty good package.
He got the most. He demanded 6 figures to be on and got it.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is that you got to deliver. If you're going to be getting paid that much by it, because they have a whole cast of complete lunatic characters that they can bring in. Like, if they're paying you 6 figures, if you're getting like Johnny Bananas money, maybe not quite the same amount, maybe more. I have no idea. But if you're asking for that, you've gotta bring the goods. Last night he brought the goods to his own detriment, but
Rob pointed this out. Do you think that the season is going to be better because CT, Bananas, Zach, and these vets are now gone, that we just get a different look from the challenge? I think you might be right. I don't want that every season because I like to see those guys in the mix. And we have Wes to kind of cling to if you love the challenge, and they have like the vintage challenge competitors. Wes is sort of the avatar for that now. And I'm good with it. I love Wes. So I hope he wins. But I do like seeing the opportunity for some of these new people to make a mark and sort of get ingrained a little bit. Because I kind of wish Tony was on this season. He's the one guy I'm kind of missing. I think he would have been good.
Yeah.
I don't miss Corey. I don't miss Nelson. I don't miss Devin.
Bring back Shane.
Shane's too sneaky. Shane's too much drama, no competitive spirit.
You're all about the drama, bruh.
Oh, you mean Tony's brother Shane?
Yeah.
Not Shane.
No,
Shane.
not Shane. I mean Tony's brother Shane.
I don't think he's ever allowed on the show again.
No, he's a maniac. God bless him.
So Tony, I could use.
I love Tony.
Everyone loves Tony.
I'm
don't they?
always team Tony. Tony, I usually draft to my own detriment. Dad Tony is a little bit different, though.
Yeah, but
if anybody is very much, not in terms of the aggressive style, but in terms of like the trajectory that I see Tony going in, is he's gonna be like CT essentially.
Sure, but he wasn't as like violent as
No,
CT
no,
was.
God no.
He was just
he's
too
never
drunk
been
all the
nearly
time.
as good at the challenge as CT was.
But he's been getting better every subsequent season,
Yeah.
like in the eliminations and everything. And even last season, like the one time that he got boozed turned into Corey going home because Corey attacked him because
Yeah.
he's such a piece of shit when he's drunk.
Yeah, that's Tony. That's our Tony. Yeah, I love Tony. I miss Tony. Hopefully he's back, but he's got like all these kids and stuff now.
He has 2 kids.
He's gonna have a couple seasons.
He
He's gonna
needs some of that challenge money, man.
It's true. Well, I wonder what he does when he's not challenging.
I assume if he has over like 200,000 Instagram followers, he probably makes like
He's probably just posts ads and stuff.
yeah, like you can probably make. I'm trying to think. The Twitter ratio to advertising to the Instagram one is more valuable. I believe it's if you have over 250,000 Instagram followers, it's good for like 200K a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Need more Instagram followers.
I wish I had follow me on Instagram at the PME. The Twitter conversion where I have all the followers is not worth quite as much.
It's mostly just baby pics for you though on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't do anything.
I don't even have an Instagram. I just only see when you post links.
Yeah, but I usually only post links to that. Otherwise, they're kind of doubled up. I don't spend much time on Instagram anyway. Yeah, if you want to see me and my baby, my cute baby, it's up there. I try not to post too much.
Baby pics. You got to put the hashtags. I notice people on Instagram, lots of hashtags.
Yeah.
Hashtagging everything. That's how you get the attention. That's how you get the money.
That's probably true. I mean, that is true, but I just don't have time. I'm just not on Instagram enough to really take it seriously. And like, I don't do any like work stuff on Instagram. It's actually like a personal Instagram.
Yeah.
So I could use more followers though. At the PME. Same as Twitter, same as Facebook.
Was there a giveaway this episode?
Yeah, there was.
What was it?
It was like the episode. Leave your DraftKings handle and tell me who you think would win a trivia challenge of the people that are left. Because that's coming.
Wes.
And yeah, trivia challenges are where like Jenna's won a trivia challenge before.
It's true.
Like it's not just the smartest person wins. Because it could be a spelling bee for one thing. And like I consider myself to be relatively intelligent. Can't spell worth a shit.
We don't know a lot about a bunch of these Brits. They could be smarter than we think.
I bet you Bear is smarter than we think.
I think he's definitely smart. You win Big Brother twice. Apparently, Josh is an idiot, so maybe this is. But like, you win it twice. He seems very savvy.
Savvy is probably the right word.
To like how to acquire attention in a reality TV setting.
Yes, but like Bananas was never good at the trivia challenges, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always like I bet you Devon will do really well. Maybe George is like relatively smart. I don't know. Maddie. Maybe that's where Trash Michael Murray comes in. Rob's boyfriend, Gus.
I don't understand.
I don't get it either.
Who are these people that he's talking to?
I don't know. Apparently, that's the only person people talk about on Twitter is Gus. Gus bots.
It's like echo chambers for like Trump hate and Trump love, both sides. Like he's in some sort of like, weird small
he's
echo
in the Gus vortex.
Like three or four people inside of it, and they're all just triggered. He actually sounded like he sounds like Cuss. He literally sounded like Cuss. He sounded like Cuss talking about like PGA players being able to wear shorts
during
in practice rounds.
Yeah.
Like that's how upset he's like, I just want Gus to go away. It's like, nobody's talking about Gus except for you. I don't get it. Like Gus has done nothing. He's done nothing wrong. He's done nothing right. He hasn't acquired any of my attention. I've watched every single episode. I've watched it pretty closely. Like he's really, besides bashing his lip up where I felt sorry for him, I was like, oh, poor Gus. That was really the extent of any feelings that I've had about Gus this whole season. So I don't understand where this is coming from.
I appreciated that, like, he got him so, like, he didn't sit there and bitch and moan about, like, putting his teeth through his lip. He just got stitched up and went back to work.
Yeah, you know what? Like,
I like that.
I'm hashtag, that. Yeah, hashtag.
Team Gus? Are we Team Gus?
Are we on the Gus bus?
I think we're on the Gus bus.
All right, let's go. Next season. if he gets invited back.
He might. Apparently, everyone's talking about him, so he's of course going to be invited back.
He's the most famous, most popular guy on the show, no doubt.
Him and Jenna actually almost got into the tribunal this week too. They came forward.
Jenna's probably just going home now, right? Like she's gonna mail it in.
I think this actually works out to her advantage. To tell you the truth, Zach not being there.
And she's gonna hook up with Gus.
She might hook up with Gus. Who knows? She has a history of hooking up with other people when Zach goes away. But I think Zach being around, he seemed like a real bummer.
Yeah. And they were just fighting all the time. It's probably good for them to have a little break.
Yeah. According to Instagram, they're still together.
Oh, good.
She did move to Michigan with him, so that'll work out okay for her.
So I guess Gus and her didn't hook up.
No, maybe Gus is just too nice. Too much of a good guy. That's why you're on Team Gus.
I feel as though Jenna's on her way out soon, though. She's always been a pretty honest competitor, though.
She's kind of she's a difficult competitor too because she has size. Like she's a lot like skinnier now than she used to be, but like she's a lot taller than a lot of the competitors. Like besides Maddie, she's probably the tallest girl left.
Yeah, but like
that could be advantageous. It might not be in the elimination. But
I guess it really depends on what Wes tends to do next week. Is Wes and Kara like are they on the same wavelength? Like it's really tough to tell if Paulie, Wes, them are all kind of on the same page. We know that Hunter and Wes are together.
I think that we're going to find out that Wes is in with like Wes and Hunter are on the same team, but I bet you they have a Brit on their side too. Mm-hmm. A mole on the inside. I think it's Ashley and Cam. That'd be my guess.
That makes sense. Cam would be wise to that.
Yeah.
We saw like last season where
Cam's savvy on the same level that Wes is savvy, so I can see them running like opposite games but playing it together at the same time. Mm-hmm. And then you just play both sides and make sure you don't get each other voted in. Like we barely saw any of Cam or Ashley.
Cam and Theo are going to be hooking up starting next episode.
And so that's probably the end of Leroy.
And you actually even saw that in the bear scene where he broke the table, they were sitting next to each other at the poker table
I did not notice
well.
That.
Yeah, so it just hasn't been highlighted yet, but it's already going on.
Takeaways, long-term takeaways from the mission. It was a bit of an endurance mission, so I guess you could extrapolate a little to a final if it's going to be a long-running final. Hunter not looking great.
No.
Ashley not looking great.
No. And that's what the final always is.
It's a running competition.
It's a running competition. So
I think that Theo and Kara are the team to watch out for. Or Turbo and Nani. Or Ninja and Paulie.
Long distance, I think Paulie and Kara are a threat. You just have to get them out when it's like a big physical challenge. Like you want Ashley going after Paulie to get him out in that type of competition, right? Like
Rob mentioned,
you want him ripping a ring out of his hand or something like that, because like that's gonna happen.
I think that if we do get a physical elimination, then Kyle and Maddie are a bad matchup for Ninja and Paulie. Although Ninja and Paulie are clearly a better team overall in 80% of the competitions that are going on. If it comes into a pure size thing. That Ninja is stronger than Maddie, but she's just the size does in some of these, the only thing that matters is size. Mm-hmm. And they've gotten away from it for the most part over the past few seasons. Like it used to be a huge thing. Like if you're just bigger, you're going to win. That's not always the case anymore, but like once or twice a season, you catch them in the size only matters competition, you're fucked.
Yeah, that kind of happened to an extent. It happened in Maddie's win, basically.
Yeah, and Kyle was able to sneak it out against two bigger. I mean, Kyle's not
because
small.
JP
either.
was just like, I want to take out CT so that I'm a big man. And it's just like, well, you just eliminated yourself and
you're an
CT.
Idiot. Yeah, you're an idiot.
Congratulations. Well, if he was just trying to eliminate CT, it worked.
I appreciate Turbo's commitment to he wanted to vote in Bear because Bear showed very poor sportsmanship and he quit. I feel like if you go after like that sort of thing, you're not going to make any enemies because it's not like Bear's going to be there and be like, how dare you vote for me? He knew everyone was voting for him.
Yeah. And
people are scared of Turbo.
Oh, I would be. Turbo is a man of morals. That guy lives by his morals. Like immediately, it was like the last couple of weeks. It's just like, he sees something that like seems like dishonorable, like in the game, and he's just like, "This guy needs to go. This guy needs to go." Like he will not stand for anything that goes against the morals that he has. And frankly, I'd want to be on Turbo's side because that guy looks. I think Turbo may be a complete package. Like he may be able to do the long distance, and he looks strong, and he's super athletic. Obviously, doing like cartwheel kicks and stuff like that. Like, he's dangerous. He's dangerous anytime. And Nani's a bit of a scrub competitor. I have her on my team for for the
hookup
promiscuous points and stuff like that, which she hasn't really delivered yet.
I will say,
it
like,
doesn't really look like it's gonna happen.
Nani, yeah, we'll see. Nani comes out of nowhere and sleeps with 2 people in one episode.
It's true.
That's why there's a Nani rule.
Yeah.
So you get the double points on the double hookup. But like the problem with I have Turbo and Nani on my team. Like Turbo's great, but I need him to win the overall thing if he's going to score points.
Yeah.
Because he's not mixing it up with people.
He's not getting.
He's not going to get
No.
boozed and fight anyone. He's just going to have
He won't.
high morals. Not good for fantasy.
He won't get in a verbal fight with anyone. He will just
stare you down.
He's like a dad who's not mad but just disappointed, and he puts you into the final word.
If Nani can keep her cardio up, they're the team to beat. But I'm not like they had that double elimination challenge, and the challenge was whatever guy wins is going to be paired with whatever girl wins. So I'm not even convinced these teams stayed the same in the entire season. Like there could be that twist coming at some point too.
They could just all go solo.
They could all go solo. Then Turbo's looking great. Ninja and Turbo would be looking amazing if that was the case.
Well, they were going to switch up the teams. Yeah, you're right. They were going to switch up the teams at that one point. So
yeah, something like that could be
a lot of things could happen.
Although Wes and D sleeper team.
Next time, what's his face? Next time TJ says like, oh, there's too many of you, you know that it's going to be a double elimination and they're probably going to switch a team up.
Yeah.
Who do you think, here's a question, who do you think out of all of the guy competitors, all the girl competitors, if you put 2 of them together, would make the best team in the house? Like you can mix bag every single, like what's the best team? Turbo and
Ninja? Or Theo and Ninja?
We just don't know enough about them though.
Maybe. Ninja's, if it just comes down to pure competition,
Yeah.
Ninja's by far the best.
Yeah.
She's great. I mean, if you're going to be on American Ninja Warrior, then you're going to be good at the challenge. Like, let's be real. 90%
of the guys, like Turbo may be like the only guy who would be able to also do some of these American Ninja Warrior type of like challenges.
Like, I think Theo is going to be a really good competitor. Like, we even saw it in this one. Just like, the guy walks faster than most people run. Like, that's such a huge advantage.
He's so tall.
Yeah, like he's long, he's fast, and you know his cardio is good.
Yeah.
And he's in with the Brits. So that alliance-wise helps too. But yeah, straight-up competitors. For the guys, I would think that Turbo's probably the best. Turbo and
Such
then,
a small sample size, though. We
like,
haven't seen them tick
to give
yet.
credit, I don't like Polly, but Polly is quite good.
Mm-hmm.
But I always worry that size becomes a factor with him if he gets into the wrong competition.
Yeah. Yeah, he ends up against Ashley. It's just like, he
He is like a real wild card here.
he's sneaky. Because you haven't seen much of him.
But I just, in this endurance challenge, he legit gassed.
So all the muscle bound guys, we're in the desert in Namibia. We don't know the temperature out there, but
Probably hot.
it's gotta be scorching.
Yeah.
So like but hey, you go into a final here, they're gonna make you run. They're gonna make you run probably like 10 kilometers or whatever. And you gotta be ready for it because Paulie's gonna be able to run it.
Yeah.
All of these other teams are gonna be able to run it. Yeah, Hunter and Ashley, you may be in trouble. Like, this is something that they haven't really shown people like working out in Namibia. Like other seasons, there's always like a workout room and they really show it.
They showed the gym in one of the episodes.
Okay.
And they did like a cutaway of people working out this time.
If I'm Georgia, I'm going to Hunter and being like, you are
Treadmill.
going on the treadmill every day for like a half hour.
Build up that stamina.
You got to.
I actually listened to I was listening to like an Instagram like video of Hunter, and he was talking about his workouts. He does like the HIIT training, which is probably what you want to do. It's just not great for the challenge because it leaves you with no endurance whatsoever. He basically does like 5 minutes of walking and then sprints for like half a mile, and then does like 10 minutes of walking and sprints for half a mile. So he can get if it's gonna be like short burst, your trigger muscles, build those ones up. He's probably good at that. Just if you have to run 10K, he's fucked.
Mm-hmm. And we saw that.
Yeah, Wes will be fine. Wes has always had good endurance.
Well, Wes is the GOAT of eliminations. When I made those boards at the beginning of the season, like his record is just absurd. Yeah. I think he's like 14-6 now or 15-6 now in eliminations. It's like, why would you throw Wes in?
Yeah, why would you pick Wes to go against? I can see throwing Wes in to try to get rid of him.
2 episodes ago, he threw the freaking football to Wes.
Yeah, it made no sense.
Like we almost kind of thought that this was a behind the scenes deal. Obviously, Zach was just playing his own game. Like Zach did not play a good game.
It's really
He
strange.
deserved to go home.
I think he was bummed out because he was the last pick of the draft. I can assure you that's never happened to Zach in anything before.
Well, except for the fact that his name is Zach. So in elementary school, they would get to him last because alphabetical.
Sure, but if you had to do some sort of competition where people pick teams, I can't imagine anything where you would have picked Zach last.
No, never.
I mean, the guy almost made the NFL. So it's not just that he's good at football. If he played any sport, Zach is probably the best guy around.
It's true.
But not this season. Not very good. Didn't eliminate bananas, though.
Yeah, like maybe that's what he was trying to have, like a legacy season or something. Got rid of bananas.
That's it. Try to get. Yeah, I guess if you could get rid of bananas, get rid of Wes, and like that's how you get there. It would look really good, but it's a higher degree of difficulty than going against like Josh and Amanda.
Yeah, no, like there was Josh and Amanda.
Like
he could have called in Bear.
He could have called in Bear, but she didn't want to. Like the obvious team would have been Leroy and Shailene. Like why not just vote them in?
They're
They don't even get airtime.
Nobody even brings their name up. I guess Leroy's gonna be upset about Cam and Theo.
Which sucks. I love Leroy. I could use more Leroy, but all of his buddies are gone. CT's gone. Bananas is gone. He has no one to talk to.
He doesn't really have a storyline when his buddies are not around. He's just like
he never has a storyline anyway.
He's the sidekick.
He's just a good guy.
Yeah, he's the sidekick. He's the buddy. And it just doesn't really ever have his own storyline.
Anything else?
No, not really.
Calm your tits. Where can everyone follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Paul Shag. You can follow my podcast at Dog or Pass Pod. That comes every single week, usually Thursday mornings, breaking down every single UFC card of the calendar year, right here on the DraftKings YouTube page and the Pat Mayo audio feed.
Yeah, the Pat Mayo Experience audio feed is where you can find the audio version. So if you want to get into a draw for 20 DK bucks, smash the like button on the video. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section and let me know which team you would take in the upcoming trivia challenge. It might be next week. It could be 5 weeks from now. But of all the teams that are left, who do you think has the best shot at winning that? Or on those audio feeds, like Paul talked about, Pat Mayo Experience, iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, Spotify, doesn't matter where it is, leave a 5-star review, something nice about the show, DraftKings handle, and you are in a draw for 20 DK dollars. Winners announced on Monday's Pat Mayo Experience. Thank you for watching. If you hit the description, you can find the best episode or the best season rankings that I did with Rob and that poll that he has for best female competitor of all time. So please go vote in that too. Until then, I'm Pat Mayo. Enjoy the challenge next week. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!